Smart people can solve complex problems, build entire careers, change the world. But love? That's the one thing that completely breaks them. If you've ever felt like you're too smart for your own heart, this will explain everything. Here's what nobody tells you. Intelligence doesn't make relationships easier. It makes them harder. Way harder. If you've ever wondered why love feels like the one puzzle you can't solve, stay with me. This might be the most honest conversation you've had about your heart. Let me paint you a picture. Someone texts you, "We need to talk." And while most people might feel a little anxious, you've already written 17 different scenarios in your head. You've analyzed their tone, replayed your last 3 conversations, built a case for what you did wrong, and convinced yourself it's over. All before they've even told you they just wanted to plan dinner. This is what smart people do. They analyze emotions instead of feeling them. You dissect every word, every pause, every subtle shift in energy. You're looking for patterns, for logic, for something that makes sense. But here's the problem. Love doesn't make sense. It's messy. It's irrational. Contradicts itself. And when you can't figure it out, you freeze. You hesitate to text first because you're calculating the right moment. You hold back from saying, "I love you," because you're not 100% certain of the outcome. You create emotional distance, not because you don't care, but because your brain is desperately trying to protect you from uncertainty. But here's what that costs you. While you're analyzing, life is happening. Moments pass, connections fade, and the person who could have loved you thinks you're just not interested. You're not cold. You're just stuck in your own head, trying to solve something that was never meant to be solved, only felt. Now let's talk about something most smart people don't realize they're doing. You set impossibly high standards for yourself and quietly, unconsciously, for everyone around you. You've spent your whole life being the person who gets it right, the one who doesn't fail, the one who thinks 3 steps ahead. And somewhere along the way, you started expecting the same level of excellence from relationships. You want deep conversations at 2 a.m., not small talk. You want a partner who challenges you intellectually, who matches your ambition, who gets your complexity without you having to explain yourself. You want everything to flow effortlessly, because if it doesn't, maybe it's not right. But here's the truth. People aren't projects. Love isn't a performance review. And when you hold relationships to the same standard you hold your work, your goals, your life, you set yourself up for constant disappointment. Nobody will ever be perfect enough, including you. So you end up alone, convincing yourself it's because you haven't found the right person yet. But deep down, you're terrified that even if you did, you still wouldn't be enough for them. Because the hardest person to meet expectations for has always been yourself. Here's something smart people rarely admit. They're scared. Not of rejection. Not of heartbreak. They're scared of failure. You've built your entire identity around being competent. You're the person people come to for answers. You solve things. You figure things out. You win. But love? Love doesn't care how smart you are. You can't logic your way into someone's heart. You can't strategize your way out of vulnerability. You can't control whether someone stays or leaves. And that lack of control is terrifying. So you do what you've always done when something feels uncertain, you avoid it. You convince yourself you're too busy for a relationship. You say you're focusing on yourself. You go on a few dates, find something wrong, and pull back before it gets too real. Because if you never fully commit, you never fully fail. But here's what that really is. Self-protection disguised as independence. You're not avoiding love because you don't want it. You're avoiding it because you're used to being good at things, and love makes you feel like a beginner all over again. You're afraid that if you try and it doesn't work, it'll prove something you've feared for a long time. That maybe in the one area that actually matters, you're not enough. And that thought is unbearable. So you stay safe. You stay alone. And you tell yourself it's a choice. Now here's the paradox that nobody talks about. Smart people feel everything deeper than most. You notice the small things. The shift in someone's voice. The way they looked at you for half a second too long. The subtext beneath their words. You're emotionally intelligent. You understand people. You can read a room, sense tension, feel energy shifts that others completely miss. But here's the curse. You feel so much that you've learned to hide it. You don't want to be too much. You don't want to overwhelm someone with your depth. You've been called intense before, maybe even too sensitive. So you learn to tone it down, to keep your emotions in check, to intellectualize your feelings instead of expressing them. So you end up in this strange place where you feel everything but show nothing. You love someone deeply, but you'll never say it first. You're hurt, but you'll rationalize it away. You want closeness, but you keep people at arm's length because vulnerability feels like weakness. And the saddest part? The person on the other side has no idea. They think you're distant, uninterested, hard to read. But you're not. You're just scared that if you show them how much you actually feel, they'll run. Or worse, they'll stay but not really see you. So you protect yourself by staying hidden. And you wonder why love never feels safe enough to let in. If you're watching this and thinking, this is me, every single word, I need you to hear something. You're not broken. You're not hard to love. You're not too much or too complicated or overthinking everything for no reason. You just love differently. You feel differently. And the world hasn't always made space for people like you. People who need depth, who crave meaning, who can't do surface-level connection. But that doesn't mean you're unlovable. It means you need someone who's willing to go deep with you. Someone who sees your overthinking not as a flaw, but as proof of how much you care. Someone who understands that your silence isn't coldness. It's you processing, protecting, trying to get it right. You deserve that person, and they're out there. But first, you have to let yourself be seen. Walls don't just keep pain out, they keep love out too. If this video helped you understand yourself a little better, if it made you feel less alone in your own head, hit that subscribe button. You deserve more clarity, more truth, more conversations like this. And if you know someone who overthinks their own heart, share this with them. Sometimes people just need to know they're not the only ones struggling with this. Drop a comment and just say, I relate, if this felt painfully, beautifully accurate. I read every single one. You've got this. And your heart is smarter than you think. See you in the next one.